Hello, welcome back. So now in this part, we will solve the design example for the isolated footing. So this is our problem. In this, we have to design a square footing of uniform thickness uh, for an axially loaded column, and the size of column is 300 by 300, and it is supporting a load of 500 kilonewton. Also, the safe bearing capacity of the soil is 15 ton per meter square, and we have to use M20 grade of concrete and HYSD reinforcement. So here, uh, the data which is given to us is the size of column, and it is supporting a load of 500 kilonewton, and also the soil bearing capacity, safe bearing capacity of the soil is 15 ton. So we have to convert this ton into kilonewton. Now we know that 1 kg is equals to 9.8 newton, and generally in the engineering calculation, for the sake of simplicity, we take this equivalent to 10 newton. So we know that 1 ton is equals to 100 kg. So with this conversion, we can say that 1 ton will be equivalent to 10 kilonewton. So ultimately, the safe bearing capacity of the soil is given here as 150 kilonewton per meter square. So that is the soil bearing capacity in terms of kilonewton per meter square. So we will start our example. So our first step would be the same, which is we have to find out the material and design constants M, N, J, and R, and they are dependent on the permissible stresses sigma CBC and sigma ST. So we can directly find out them with the help of IS code. And first we will calculate the modular ratio, which is 13.33. Then using the relation for N, we will calculate the N value, and N value is 0.29. Similarly, now we will find out the J value. J value is 0.904, and the R value is 0.91. So these are our four design constants that are generally used in our calculation. So here in this case, now our next step is to find out the size of footing. Like size of footing means our footing will be something like this. It is a square footing, and it is supporting a column. It is supporting a column which is carrying a vertical load. So here we actually have to find out this plan dimension. What should be this value? So basically here we have to find out the area of the footing. Now here, because of this external load, soil will offer the reaction. So here we can find out the area of footing with the relation load, total load upon SBC, which is the safe bearing capacity, and this is the total load coming from the foundation. So to calculate the area, we need to first calculate the total load on the foundation, and SBC is already given. So here total load on the foundation will be first the load coming from the column, and which is given in the question already, which is the 500 kilonewton. And in this sufficient data is not given, so therefore we will assume that the load which is coming from the column is including the self weight of the column. Now beside this, this is the load coming from the column. Beside this, there will be the another load which will be supported by the foundation, will be the self weight of the foundation. Now we cannot find out the self weight because we don't know the dimension of the foundation. So therefore what we do is sometimes we assume the self weight of foundation uh, equivalent to 10% of the load coming from the column. So load coming from the column is W. So 10% of W is 50 kilonewton. So therefore that becomes the total load. Total load is 500 plus 50, 550. So this is how we calculate the total load. Now we can find out the required area of footing by using this relation, total load divided by SBC. Putting the value, we get the area of footing as 3.67 square meter. So now we are able to find out area of footing. We can find out the sides of the footing also. So we have square footing. So side of the footing is B is equals to under root A, because we know that area of square is B square. So B is under root A. So calculating this, we have the side of the footing as 1.915 meter. So we will adopt, we will round off this value of B as, say, on the higher side. So if we assume on the higher side, it means we will be on the safer side. If we assume on the lower side, it means we are assuming the area less than required. So therefore, we assume on the higher side. So adopting the footing size as 2 meter by 2 meter. Now here, our next step would be to calculate the soil upward pressure, because say this is our foundation and soil will offer the reaction in the form of pressure, which is generally expressed by small p. So this pressure, we know that pressure is force upon area. So here force will be the load coming from the foundation, from the column only. We will not include the self weight of foundation here, because we consider this as the system of the soil. So therefore we will only consider the load coming from the column, which is W. And here the area is area calculated, which is 2 by 2. So net upward pressure will be W upon B into B. So putting the value here, we get the pressure, net upward pressure as 125 kilonewton per meter square. And you can see that this net upward pressure is less than soil bearing capacity. It means the size of the footing is sufficient, and soil will not fail because of this load, because net upward pressure is within the limit. So that completes our step 3. Now in the step 4, we are now supposed to find out the effective depth. Now effective depth of footing, as I said, that it is being checked for various criteria, because foundation is subjected to bending moment, one-way shear, two-way shear. So we have to find out effective depth, and then the same effective depth is to be checked for different criteria. So here we will calculate the effective depth from the bending moment consideration. Now, when we are required to find out effective depth from bending moment consideration, it means we have to find out the maximum bending moment first, coming on the foundation. Now, in the previous part, I have discussed the critical section for maximum bending moment. We know that maximum bending moment in case of square footing will occur at the critical section passing through the face of the column. So critical section will be at the face of the column. So here I will be showing you in the diagram also. So this is the plan of the footing with dimension B by B, and small b is expressing the dimension of the column. So here the critical section of the column for the bending moment will be along any one face of the column, because all four faces are equal. So therefore we can consider any one face and pass the critical section. So this is basically the critical section of the column, sorry, critical section of the bending moment. Now we have to find out bending moment at this point. Well, if we want to visualize this as this also, say this is our column and this footing is subjected to pressure, net upward pressure over the whole footing, and we get to know that this is our critical section, and this column is subjected to downward external load. Now we have to find out bending moment at this section. Now, as per definition of the bending moment, it is basically the algebraic sum of the forces acting on either side of the section. So if this is the section, so we have two sides, either we consider the LHS or we consider the RHS. We are supposed to consider only one side. So here, if we consider LHS, then algebraic sum of algebraic sum of moment of all the forces on the LHS will be the bending moment at this critical section. Now on the LHS, this is our shaded part which we are considering here. So in the LHS, we see that only upward force in the form of soil pressure is there. While on the right hand side, we have two forces. One is in the form of upward force offered by the soil and the downward force at the column. So therefore, there are two forces. So we are supposed to find out algebraic sum of these two forces. While if we consider LHS only, here we have only the one upward force. So there will be less calculation. Now, bending moment at this critical section, we can calculate. So bending moment here will be the force multiplied by perpendicular distance, because here we have only the one force in the form of net upward pressure. Now, what is force? Force, we know, stress into area or pressure into area. So here we have pressure. So pressure into area multiplied by perpendicular distance. So now what is the pressure? Pressure is what we have just calculated in the previous step. So pressure offered by the soil is 125 kilonewton per meter square. So that is the pressure. And what is the area? Area is the area under consideration. So area under consideration is only along the LHS. So in the LHS, what is this area? So first we have to find out width of this area. So width of this area can be b minus small b by 2. So this width is b minus b by 2. So multiplied by this side. So ultimately area becomes b minus b by 2 into b. So that becomes the force. Now force multiplied by perpendicular distance. Now perpendicular distance will be the distance from critical section to the CG of the area. Now CG of this area will be where these two diagonal will meet. So which means this is the CG of this area under consideration. And perpendicular distance will be measured from the critical section to this point. So this distance will be b minus b by 4. So this distance will be b minus b by 4. So this is how we calculate the bending moment at critical section. Force into perpendicular distance. So because we have only one force in the form of pressure, net upward pressure, so therefore it is very convenient to consider LHS in this case. So now I have already done these calculations. So now I will be showing you those calculations. So maximum bending moment, I have just shown you how this value is formulated, and putting all the values here, because we have pressure in terms of kilonewton per meter square. So we will put all the values in meter, and solving this, we get the maximum bending moment at the critical section as 90.31 kilonewton meter. Now we got the bending moment. We can easily calculate the depth required from bending moment considerations. So we know we use this relation to calculate the depth required for bending moment consideration. So here we can use the same formula. R is the design constant. B, here B will be actually the capital B, because the sides of the foundation is represented by capital B. So this will be capital B. So M by RB. So putting all the values in the formula, we get the depth required as 222.75 mm. So that is the depth of foundation from bending moment considerations. So we will round off this value to the higher side, because in that sense we will be on the safer side. So say choosing the depth from the bending moment criteria as 230 mm. So that completes our step 4. Now the depth we have calculated from bending moment criteria. Now we have to check whether this depth is sufficient for one-way and two-way shear or not. So for that, we will move to the next step, which is checking the depth for one-way shear criteria. Now, for this depth that we have calculated in the previous step, for this depth to be safe in this one-way shear, the value of tau v should be less than k into tau c. We have to satisfy this condition. So if this condition satisfies, we say that the D is safe for one-way shear criteria. Now, in this case, what is tau v? Tau v is basically the uh, shear stress due to external load. Now, what is K into tau c? K into tau c is the permissible shear strength of footing, concrete footing. So basically this shear stress, which is caused because of the external load, if this shear stress is less than permissible shear strength of the footing, then we say that the depth calculated in the previous step is safe for one-way shear criteria also. So here we have to find out first the shear stress, and after that we will calculate this permissible stress, and then we will compare both to check whether the condition is satisfied or not. So now what is, how do we calculate this tau v? Tau v, we have you calculated this value earlier also. Tau v is shear force upon area. Shear force upon area. Now we have to find out shear force, and B is the width of foundation and D is the depth of foundation. So with this relation, we can find out the nominal shear stress or simply the shear stress. So, and even in this clause also, it is mentioned that critical section for maximum shear force, which is the V value, which means we want to calculate V value. So for V value, critical section will be located at D distance from the face of the column. So this is what I have mentioned in the previous part also, that the critical section of the shear force will be at D distance from the face of the column. So this is the new diagram showing the critical section of the shear force uh, in this criteria. So again, because this is the square column, so we can consider any one side, and along that side shear force will be calculated as the maximum shear force at critical section. So here critical section is located at D distance from the face of the column, and again here we have to consider whether we consider LHS or RHS. Now in the LHS we will be having only the net upward pressure, but in the RHS we will be having force due to coming on the column and net upward pressure in the remaining area. So here also we will consider only the LHS. Now what is the definition of the shear force that we should remember? Now shear force at any section will be the algebraic sum of forces acting or on either side, whether it is LHS or RHS. So according to definition, if we consider LHS, so algebraic sum of forces on the LHS will be the shear force. Now on the LHS we have only one force in the form of net upward pressure. So if we calculate that net upward pressure in the LHS, we will have the shear force value. Now before that, we have to find out what is this width. So this width will be B minus B by 2 minus D. So that is the width on the LHS. So here again shear force will be stress or pressure into area. So that becomes the shear force in this case. So pressure we already know is 125. What is the area? Area is this width multiplied by this length. So this will be B into B minus B by 2 minus D. So that becomes the formula, or that becomes the formulation of shear force in this case. So here the formula becomes B into, so this is what I have just formulated, and putting all the values here also in the kilonewton and meter units. So we have the maximum shear force at critical section as 155 kilonewton. Now once we get the V value, we can calculate the nominal shear stress also, because this is the stress caused due to the load. So tau V is V upon BD, and putting the value here, we get the nominal shear stress as 0.33. So as I mentioned earlier, for our beam to be safe in the shear, this tau V should be less than K into tau C. K into tau C is the permissible shear strength in the of the footing. So this K value can be calculated by referring this clause of the IS code. So I will show you this clause later. First, we will see this K value is actually dependent on the overall depth of the foundation. So which means we have to first calculate the overall depth of the foundation. So as I said, to find out the value of K from the IS code, we need to find overall depth, which means we have to assume the diameter of the reinforcement bar, because till now we only have this D value, but this D value is the effective depth, and we actually need to find out overall depths, and overall depth is D plus effective cover, or D plus clear cover plus half of the dia of bar. So that is why we need to assume the diameter of reinforcement also. So let us assume that we are using 12 mm dia bar on both sides of the foundation, and also providing a clear cover of 50 mm, because as per IS code, minimum clear cover to be provided in the foundation is 50 mm. So we can provide 50 mm clear cover, and in this diagram also you can see this is our depth calculated from the center of the bar, bottom bar, to the topmost fiber, and we are here supposed to calculate D value. So D value can be calculated as 230 plus clear cover plus half of the dia of the bar. So the overall depth becomes 286 mm. So for the round figure, we can assume this depth as 300 mm, because even this depth is tentative. This depth is not finalized yet. So therefore we can do some modification in the depth here. So 286 is round off to 300 mm. So ultimately our overall depth becomes 300 mm. Now for this depth, what will be the value of K? That we will see now in the IS code. So here, this is the clause. And here it says, for solid slabs, the permissible shear stress in concrete shall be K into tau C. Because our foundation is like a solid slab, so therefore we can find out K into tau C. So before tau C, we will find out the K value. K value depends on the overall depth of the footing. So here it says, if the depth is 300 mm or more, then the K value will be 1. And if the depth is less than 300, then the K value will be higher. So our overall depth is 300 mm, so our K value is 1. So now again going to the slide. So from the IS code, we have the K value as 1. Now we have to find out the second term, which is tau C. So we have found this tau C value earlier also. So this tau C value is dependent on the percentage of the steel. So to have the tau C value, we need the percentage of steel. Now here we will assume that our section, our foundation section is basically a balanced section. And for balanced section, we can calculate the percentage of reinforcement by using this relation. Here it is N into sigma CBC upon sigma ST, and whole multiplied by 100. So here N is the design constant, sigma CBC, and sigma ST is the permissible stresses for concrete and steel. So putting all the values, we get the percentage of reinforcement as 0.88, and the force, and for the sake of reading the value of tau c, we will assume this 0.882 equivalent to 1%. Now for 1%, the tau c value can be calculated by referring to table 23 of the IS code. So in the table 23 from the IS code, the value of tau c for 1% of the steel is 0.39 Newton per mm square. So now we got the value of tau c, we got the value of k, we also know the value of tau v. So what we can do is we can now compare them. So the permissible shear stress in the foundation in the concrete is 1 into 0.39, which is 0.39 meter Newton per mm square. So comparing this, we can say that k into tau c is greater than tau v. Why? Because tau v value is 0.33 Newton per mm square, while k into tau c is 0.39 Newton per mm square. So therefore, we can say that the d which we have calculated in the previous step is sufficient for one-way shear criteria also. Now, this d may be passed in one-way shear criteria. We have to check this d for another shear criteria, which is the punching shear criteria or the two-way shear criteria. So here we know that the critical section for two-way shear occurs at the d/2 distance from the periphery of the column. So we can see in this diagram also. So this green dotted line are showing the critical section for two-way shear. Now in this scenario, again we will try to understand with this 3D visualization. Say this is our column and this is the net upward pressure. Now in this column there are downward pressure. So, and this is the critical section. So in the critical section also, downward pressure will be very higher. So here we have to choose whether we consider interior side of the critical section or exterior side of the critical section. Because earlier in the one-way shear criteria and bending moment criteria, we were supposed to choose whether we choose LHS or RHS, but here there is no LHS, RHS. Here we have to choose either we choose this interior part or this exterior part of the critical section. Now in this, what we can say is because you can see, if we choose the interior side, if we choose this side, this interior one, so in that case we will have two forces. One is the force acting on the column and the upward pressure because of the soil reaction. But if we choose the exterior side, so here we will be having only the soil pressure only. There will not be any downward pressure, because if we make the section also, so in this scenario also you can see we will have this upward pressure, but here we have, so if this is the critical section for two-way shear, so in this scenario, in between this you can see we have upward pressure, we have downward pressure. But if we consider this exterior part, we will have only upward pressure. So there will be less calculation as compared to the interior one. So here also we will consider the exterior part to calculate the maximum shear force in this scenario. Now in this scenario, in the punching shear scenario also, if we want our D to be safe in this criteria, so the criteria will be that tau v dash should be less than Ks into tau c dash. Now here, what is tau v dash? Tau v dash is the maximum shear stress because of the two-way shear. So this is the maximum shear stress. And This is the shear strength of footing against two-way shear. Now here tau v dash, I have provided this dash because in this scenario tau v will be calculated differently. Similarly, in this case also Ks will be calculated as per IS code recommendation, and tau c dash is also calculated as per the formula given by the IS code. So we will see each of the term one by one. So here first we will calculate the tau v dash, and tau v dash formula is V dash upon B naught into D. D is the depth which we have calculated in the fourth step, and B naught is the length of critical section, and V dash is the maximum shear force because of punching shear. Maximum punching shear force. In that way we can say. So first we will calculate the maximum punching shear at the critical section. So what is the shear stress at this critical section that we have to find out? So as I said, we will consider the exterior part. So area of this exterior, this is B plus D. This is also B plus D. So here shear force will be stress into area. Now here stress is basically the net upward pressure which is acting on the foundation. So stress or the reaction. So stress will be say P, which is the net upward pressure, multiplied by the area of this exterior part. So it will be B square minus B plus D square. So that becomes the formula for maximum shear stress, because we have only one force in this zone. So I have calculated this. So putting the value, we get the shear force, punching shear force as 466.75. So you see, in one-way shear we had shear force as 155, and punching shear is almost 3 times higher that. So therefore that is why this punching shear is very critical for the foundation. So here V dash is calculated. Now we can calculate the nominal shear stress also, and nominal shear stress formula is V dash upon B naught. Here B naught is the length of critical section. So length of critical section is this plus this plus this plus this. So that is the B naught. So this is basically the parameter of this critical section. So B naught is 4 times of B plus D, and putting the value we get B naught as 2120. So this value we can put in the here. We already know the value of D, and we have just calculated the value of V dash also. So converting all the values into Newton and mm, we get the tau v value as 0.95 Newton per mm square. So you see tau v in case of one-way shear was 0.33, but here it is 0.95, almost 3 times higher than that. So as I said, that this tau v dash value should be lower than Ks into tau c, which is the permissible strength of the footing. So therefore, for our beam to be safe in this criteria, tau v dash value should be less than Ks into tau c. Now here we have to find out Ks value and tau c dash value. How do we find out this Ks? Ks value can be calculated by referring this clause in the IS code. So first I will show you this clause in the IS code. So here you can see this is our clause 31.6.3.1, and it says when shear reinforcement is not provided, the calculated shear stress at the critical section shall not exceed Ks into tau c dash. So basically it says that tau v dash value should be less than Ks into tau c for our depth to be safe in this criteria. Now how do we find out Ks and tau c? for that, we will refer to the next page. So here you see Ks is calculated by this formula 0.5 plus beta C. Now it says that this value should not be greater than 1. And beta C is the ratio of shorter side to the longer side of the column. So here in our case, basically our column is square. So this B. So both sides are equal. So therefore, beta C value will be 1 and Ks value will become 1.5. But you see 1.5 will be restricted to 1 because it says Ks value should not be greater than 1. So therefore our Ks value will be 1. And how do we find out this tau C value? Tau C value formula is 0.25 under root FCK. This formula is when we use limit state method, but because we are designing our foundation with working stress method, so therefore tau C value in this case will be 0.16 FCK. And FCK is the 28 days characteristic strength of the concrete. It means if we are using M20 grade of concrete, FCK value will be 20. So this is how we are going to calculate this Ks and tau C. So again, moving to the slide. So beta C is 1 and Ks value will be 1. So here we can calculate the tau C dash value, which is 0.16 FC under root FCK, and putting the value we get tau C dash as 0.715. So ultimately Ks into tau C becomes, so as I said, Ks value cannot be higher than 1. So therefore Ks value will be 1. So Ks into tau C value becomes 0.715 Newton per mm square. And now we have to compare this with the value of tau V. We know that tau V dash value was 0.95 Newton per mm square. And here Ks into tau C value is 0.715. It means that the strength of the foundation is less than tau V dash value. Now, what does it mean? It means that the depth we have provided to the foundation is not sufficient for two-way shear criteria, which means the foundation will be failed under two-way shear criteria for the depth we have calculated in the step 4, which means D is not sufficient for two-way shear criteria, and therefore we have to revise this D value, and ultimately we will say that this D is governed by the two-way shear. So here how we can revise it? By equating strength of the foundation with the tau V dash or nominal punching shear stress. So equating this, we know Ks into tau C, this is fixed. This cannot be changed, which means 0.75, I have written it in, I have round off this value to 0.72. So here V dash will be fixed, B naught will be fixed. The only thing which is to be changed is D revise. So V dash value we already know, B naught value we already know, LHS value is also known. We can revise the value of D by using this relation. So ultimately D revised as 304 mm, and further ultimately round off this value to the multiple of 10, it becomes 310. So the depth which will satisfy two-way shear criteria is 310. The depth we have calculated in step 4 is not sufficient. The new revised depth is 310. And this is our final depth of the foundation. So we can say that this effective depth is governed by the two-way shear criteria. What will be the overall depth of the foundation? Overall depth of the foundation will be effective depth plus half of the die-off bar plus clear cover, which becomes 366 mm. Now to be on the safer side, we have round off this value to a general round figure, which is 400 mm. So ultimately we are keeping our overall depth as 400 mm, and this will be safe for all the criteria which may fail the foundation. So ultimately we have round off this value to 400 mm. Now we can calculate the effective depth for shorter span and for the, I mean, for both the layer of the reinforcement. You can see here for the bottom layer where we provide the foundation, where we provide the reinforcement. So for the bottom reinforcement, D will be measured from the center of this reinforcement. But if we are providing the top reinforcement, then D will be measured from the center of this reinforcement to the topmost fiber. So in this scenario, D top becomes 332, D bottom becomes 344. So this is how I have calculated here also. So you can see D bottom is 344, D top is 332. So D bottom is overall depth minus clear cover minus half of this dia of bar. Similarly, top layer overall depth minus clear cover minus dia of bar for the bottom one and half of the dia of bar of the top bar. So this is how we calculate the D top. Now this D bottom and D top will be used to calculate the reinforcement area. So our next step now is reinforcement area. So reinforcement area here will be calculated by the formula m upon sigma st into j into d. So here, because we are calculating area of steel for the bottom reinforcement, so here we are using d bottom, and because m is same for both the sides, so we will keep the same value. So putting all the values here, we get the area of steel for bottom reinforcement as 1268.25 mm square. And we can convert this area of steel into number of bars by using simple relation, area of steel divided by area of cross section of one bar. And we have already assumed the dia of bar as 12 mm. So number of bars here becomes 11.2, say 12 number of bars are to be used here. Similarly, the formula that we have used here for the bottom, the same formula we can use to calculate the AST top by changing the value of D top. Here, to calculate the area of steel for top reinforcement, we have to put D top. Other formula will be same. So by calculating all this, we can calculate the AST top as 1314.10 mm square, and number of bars in this case is 11.6, which is again equivalent to say 12 mm bar. So in both sides we will be providing 12 bars. So now the final step will be in the form of reinforcement sketch. So reinforcement sketch is the, so this is how we make the reinforcement sketch. This bar will be extended up to a certain distance. Yes. So here, this is the column reinforcement. We were not supposed to calculate this reinforcement, just showing for the reference how column reinforcement is placed on the foundation reinforcement. So these red and green bars are the reinforcement that we have just calculated. So both the reinforcement along both sides are 12 number of bars of 12 mm dia. So this is how we make the reinforcement sketch for isolated footing. So that concludes our numerical. Thank you.